Welcome back, everybody, to Part Lane Podcast. You can all settle down. I am back. I'm back under the reins of this ship, and I'll be steering it to success. Everyone listening on any podcast platform, this is episode 45. My name is Luke. I'm joined every week by my co-hosts. Wynnie, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. What an intro that was. That was brilliant, mate. Yeah, no, I'm all good. Obviously, you know, the boys have flown out to Oz now, so we've got plenty to talk about. But what I'm not looking forward to talking about is the Harry Kane saga because it's starting to drag on. But I'm all good, mate. I'm all good.
Perfect. And I'm joined by the wonderful Harry Scarf. Harry, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you. Not sure what I thought of your little intro there, because I think the show was very, very good last week and well handled. But it's nice to have you back, and it's great to be here.
It was. To be fair, you know, everything that I've seen and watched and heard and the comments and stuff we have got, it was excellent last week. So thank you very, very much for hosting. You know, for those that are new to the channel, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you leave a 5-star review and give us a follow. Right, so let's crack straight into it. Actually, before I begin, everybody that's in the comments, get comments in, give us a shout out, and we'll happily talk to you all, just like Jay Bassett has done, saying good evening, lads. Good evening, Jay. Good to have you on board. Let's jump straight in, as you said, Wynnie, to the pre-season tour. And you did say Oz, but the official name is Asia Pacific Tour.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. But they have landed in Oz, to be fair. So I'll let you.
I did fail geography at school, so there's probably no surprise that I got that incorrect.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So the team have landed, and already Twitter is going into meltdown over various things. The way the team walked off the plane. Somebody said that the seats that they were sitting in looked like Spurs were flying Ryanair, and how could Daniel Levy fly them like that?
Them seats were brilliant.
Yeah,
I disagree. I'm going on holiday next week, and if I end up flying in something like that, I'll be happy.
Exactly. Anyway, people talk shit all the time, but they're there. Big Ange is there, and you know, it's looking good. It's looking good. First game starts on Tuesday, so we will be giving you all the latest lowdown next week regarding exactly what's happened in each game. But what I want to talk about to start with is quickly talk about the squad that has gone out to play his preseason tour, because there's obviously a lot of players in there. I'm going to bring them all up now, and we'll talk about some of them now. For those that are listening, I will try and read them out as speedy as I can. So we've got Brandon Austin, Yves Bissouma, Ben Davis, Alfie Devine, Eric Dyer, Højbjerg, Harry Kane, Josh Keeley, Kulusevski, Lo Celso, Maddison, Ndombele, Perisic, Pedro Porro, Reguilon, Richarlison, Joe Rodon, Christian Romero, Emerson Royale, Davinson Sanchez, Pape Matar Sarr, Dane Scala, Oliver Skip, Manuel Solomon, Son, Spence, Tanganga, Udoji, Vicario, White, and Alfie Whiteman. That was perfect timing. So I'll bring that up for you guys in a minute again. But I'll start with you, Wynnie. Is there any people in that squad that you are surprised by?
I genuine like on a whole, no. But the ones that surprise me the most are people like Davinson Sanchez and people like Joe Rodon, possibly. Midfield, I can understand all of those that have gone because, you know, Tottenham Twitter space is kind of divided. Some people like Ndombele, some people hate Ndombele, some people like Lo Celso, some people hate Lo Celso. So the midfielders, I'm quite. I'm not surprised that he's gone out because I think Ange wants to have a good look. And who are we to judge? He's the one that's going to be driving our team to success, hopefully. So if he thinks that Gio Lo Celso can do that, then yeah. But yeah, so I'd probably say my most surprise would be Sanchez and Rodon, but it doesn't surprise me because guess what? We have failed to bring in a centre-back as of yet. So we need some centre-backs out there.
Yes, exactly. Jay has said no surprises for me there. And Pav has said, hey guys, hope you're all good. Time Added On have asked us to add them to their redirect list to send viewers, but unfortunately I am useless and I've absolutely no idea how to do that. So just copy the link on YouTube and just send it to people watching your show. We'd love to have them. Bring them all over.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, Harry, Is there anybody in that list that you're surprised by or excited to see, or think, do you know what? I wish they weren't there.
Yeah, I'm spot on in terms of what Wynnie said. Excuse me. The squad didn't surprise me at all. But if I had to pick out a surprise in there, it would have probably been Sanchez. Or probably been Rodon. Midfield doesn't, surprise me. We expected that. Lloris, I had a feeling that he would be left out, which I'm sure we get onto because he was one of the ones left out. Obviously, expect Kane to go. Obviously, he's a big player. He's out here. I was surprised they didn't give someone like Sanchez or Rodon an opportunity like Lloris to explore alternative transfers. But at the same time, like when he said, I am disappointed that we failed to bring in a centre back like Ange wanted one before we went on the pre-season tour, and we haven't done that. So and you look at the defence, and there's not many in there, especially not of any quality. So you can't afford to leave anyone out. So I don't think there was really much of a choice for the squad that was taken because of injuries as well. So the only one left out was Lloris because the rest were injured.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I do agree with both of you, in that sense. Like, me, like I'm Mr. Positive when it comes to Spurs, but that does worry me, that we haven't brought in a centre-back that goes on our pre-season tour. Like, it's different leaving players out and saying, find a new club, which we'll get on to. But it really does surprise me that we haven't got one that's come in that can go and start training, because I will get onto this in terms of injured players. But the one thing you want, especially when a new manager such as Ange comes in, is you want the players to get a full preseason, to get fitness up and to learn his styles, his methods and everything like that. And to then bring a centre-back in, if we bring one in before the start of the season, how long is it going to take them to get up to speed? The one thing I am optimistic about, Wynnie, is, we've seen quite a lot of Big Ange content recently, which obviously I am absolutely loving. But
me too.
The bit that excites me is that I know that he has the ability to be able to change a player's fortunes, I want to say, overnight, and be able to say, do you know what? I think you can do the X, Y, and Z. There could be a role for such players like Joe Rodon. I don't know.
Yeah.
There could be, I believe personally, like I think we should sell Davinson Sanchez, but I think he's perfect for a Big Ange centre-back pairing. Now, we've all seen him play left-sided centre-back, and he's an absolute liability, man. We've seen him play right-sided centre-back, and he's a liability. But his pace is exactly what that back four needs. It's just that he's not the right player for it.
No.
Yeah, it's like, for me, I can't fault Davinson Sanchez's his work rate and his effort, because he's always given 100% when he's put on that shirt. When called upon, I always look back at when Romero got injured at the back on the back stretch of that season, and he came in, and I'm not going to say he looked phenomenal, but he looked more than competent to be a centre back partner. And there was obviously those going around on Twitter at that point saying it's been so many minutes without conceding a goal with Davinson Sanchez. So there's a player in there, but look, he's run his course now. That's it. He needs to go. And I think Rodon, out of all the people that are coming back and people we're looking at again, I think Rodon is possibly one that fits Ange's system better in terms of, because I think he can defend, but I think he's okay with his feet. So if Ange wants to play out from the back, etc., I think Rodon could fit that role. But look, we all know it's obvious we need a complete overhaul of our defence. So of all the defenders we have, if we keep Dyer and then completely replace the rest of them, I would be satisfied.
Yeah, fair enough. Johnny has said, "Hey friends, we're a Spurs touring this preseason. I don't see you on the American tour. Spurs are in." Wait, what did I say before? Asia and the Pacific. Currently in Australia.
Playing West Ham on Tuesday.
Yeah, unfortunately, like some people, like Manchester United, we're playing better teams than Wrexham. But anyway, that's that. Harry, is there anybody in that squad that you believe can change their fortunes under Ange Postecoglou? Any players? I'm going to say, actually, it's going to be a question for everyone. I don't want everyone to use a simple answer of Ndombele, because I know that's what everyone's nodding their heads about. You can use him, but I want you to kind of think a little bit outside the box. And is there anyone in there that you think their time at Spurs was done, but could be transformed under Big Ange? We'll go with Harry.
No, I don't think there is, but I hope there is. Look at the squad, and Ndombele is the obvious one. You mentioned both Rodon and Sanchez. I think Sanchez's time is up. Maybe that type of defender, but not someone who's been at the club the length of time Sanchez has and still is a liability. The basic things like when the ball's in the air, which I'm afraid a footballer at every level should be able to deal with, but that just seems to let Sanchez down. And that mistake that he has in him. Rodon could potentially be in the squad. I can't see him being the partner for Romero, but hey-ho. I've had more surprising things as a Spurs fan. Anyone else really? I think, if you're fullbacks this season, if you're Doki, if you're Reguilon, if you're Spence, if you're Porro, then you really fancy your chance under Ange because you'd be required to go forward. What will be interesting to see, though, next season is will Ange's fullbacks be as expansive and forward-thinking as they were at Celtic, knowing in the Premier League it's a harsher, quicker, more physical league where we get punished if the fullbacks are caught out of position. And we know Porro defensively issue, Adoki defensively may be an issue. So it'd be interesting to go with that. Does he go with Emerson, try and fit Porro in a different way? So I think especially in that fullback position is where you'd be fancying your chances, knowing how important the fullbacks are in Ange's system.
Yeah, definitely. Johnny D has said the legend and Ndombele carries on. A man, a club, a ghost.
You just can't get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. Make of that what you will. Wynnie, is there anyone that you think fortunes can turn around?
Yeah, I like Kate said, the obvious one is Ndombele. I would like to think it's not my answer, but someone that is up there in terms of people that could potentially. I think Joe Rodon. Again, not for a starting centre back, but as a competent off the bench defender, or if someone gets injured, he can step in. I always liked Joe Rodon, and again, another one that always put in 100% whenever we got the opportunity. And I think he plays well most of the time for Wales internationally. So again, if Ange looks at him and thinks he can do a job, then I'm on the Ange bus. So if Ange thinks he likes the look of him, then I am. But the person I'm gonna select is Sergio Reguilon. And I think that because obviously there's uncertainty on, I say uncertainty with Udogie, we don't know how he's going to fit in the system. Perisic, I know he's gone out on the tour, but I just can't see him staying, to be perfectly honest. So left-sided, I think we look a little bit weak. Obviously, Sessegnon is made of bloody cardboard, so might as well count him out for the season. So I think Reguilon, and he's a player that I was actually quite surprised that left on loan because, other than the times I watched him get up into, let's say, the opposition box and then absolutely shit his pants and fluff a cross or a shot, defensively and with the ball, I thought he was quite good. And I think he's someone that Ange might like. So, and he looks, let's be honest, like pure vibes. He always looks happy when you see him in training photos, and he's always on social media, whether it's him or his management team. He's always looking positive. So I think if positivity is something that Ange likes, which is what I assume, then he's someone that may be able to revive his career.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. I think like Jay said here. I hope Ndombele, hard to choose, could also be Rodon or Basuma. I think with Ndombele, he has. I think you said it last week, actually, Wynnie, when I was listening to it. Like, he has unbelievable footballing skills, and it's only his mentality that lets him down. I don't know if obviously everyone keeps up on Spurs stuff, but I saw there was link-up play the other day, like little one-touch football, little flicks on the corner between Ndombele and Dane Scarlett. And, it's only little bits of that, right, that you get to see. But what I see with Ndombele and the Ange system is his quickness, his strength, his... he's very, very much, to me, like a Moussa Dembele.
I was literally just going to say that.
Just without the mentality side of it. And, his ability, Ange likes to play quick. He likes to play one-touch football. He doesn't like to play, take 5 minutes on the ball. And that's one thing that has let Spurs down, lackluster passes backwards, slightly behind the runner to slow the play down. It's not going to be like that this season. Well, it might be to start with, but it's not going to be like that full term under Big Ange. And, that kind of thing that he can do, the ability to kind of pull out a little flick, turn, twist here, there, he has that. And as you say, Wynnie, it is all up to him. Like I've got an Ndombele shirt from the day that he signed for Spurs because I was that excited for him. And I'm too scared to wear it these days because it's just been an absolute joke, isn't it? And I just can't wait to whip that out. But the other players, we've talked about Reguilon, I think also could have a good time. I think he's slightly better defensively than Udoju, but I don't know that much about him, to be able to kind of judge that fully now. The other one, potentially, I could see forcing the way in could be Jed Spence. What Ange's like young youth players.
Yeah, great shot.
Again, like reviving careers. That's not really a player that needs his career reviving, but you know what I mean? I think that, again, with him, I think it's a mentality thing. That's one thing that Neil Warnock said about him was that one reason why he got rid of it, loaned him out, was because of that. And it's whether he uses that, in the right way. But look, only time will tell. And we've got a game on Tuesday. So, against West Ham, it's going to be interesting to see kind of the team that comes out and whether, that team really is the kind of team we're likely to see, or whether that team is a kind of little tester and see. Because you've got to try something when you haven't. You've got to try.
I think he will.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that the team on Tuesday is going to be. I think he'll want to make a bit of a statement, and I think Tuesday's team will be as close to what he wants and what he thinks. Just to say, like, look, this is my first game. I'm here. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to play. And then I think he might experiment a little bit through preseason then. But I could be completely wrong because I don't really know him that well. But I would like to think that he's going to, like what I said, make a bit of a statement and go, this is what I want to play, and try and like make a good impression from the start.
Yeah, definitely. Just going to jump on some of the comments. But before we do that, there is a few of you watching, so please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Last week, 72% of people that watch a video are not subscribed to the channel. So, thanks for watching. But all you've got to do is click subscribe. It's free to do so and doesn't harm you to do it. Let's jump into some of these comments. We've got Meta Football TV saying good evening. We've got What's the Point FC saying, I'm really hyping now. I've had a shitload of Mars bars, so my ADHD in overdrive.
Oh,
yeah, lovely. Maybe calm down the Mars bars. You'll have cardiac arrest soon. Johnny has said less than a month till the Premier League returns. Jay has said we signed Basuma from Brighton. He played really well at Brighton, and at Spurs, he's definitely not performed what he was like at Brighton. Yeah, agreed. I think that he's not been played correctly for Spurs and Antonio Conte last season.
And injuries haven't helped as well.
Yeah, I think that a kind of more box-to-box role would help him a lot more. Holly Agamba said good evening. And that's pretty much it. Johnny, I'm not going to read all your comments out, but I do appreciate you, brother. And I did see last week that you were wondering where I was. I think
Johnny missed you.
I know, exactly. Everyone missed me. So let's move on. I want to talk really quickly before we move on to Hugo Lloris. I don't want to talk Harry Kane, but I want to talk about how Ange dealt with Harry Kane questions this week. Because in his first press conference, we heard him say that, we've all been taking bets on how long it will take to get the first Harry Kane question. But then there was another one with Optus Sport where he was asked about Harry Kane and leaving Spurs. And it was probably the best thing I've seen in a long time. Yeah. Where basically, to paraphrase, Big Ange said, whether Harry Kane stays or leaves, it's not really a big deal to me. My job is to manage this football club.
I love that.
Yeah. And pretty much that, right? Like I did paraphrase it quite a lot. But what do you guys think about that? Because it's incredibly refreshing to hear a manager who's just got into a club whereby everybody, including, the media, has said that it's a one-club team, etc., etc. For him to turn around and basically say, I'll cope with or without him. Wynnie, what do you think?
Do you know what? The way he handles the media is exceptional. I don't think I've ever seen, someone. And maybe it's because I don't really watch, but I don't watch other teams and stuff. But you still see other interviews over social media and stuff like that. The way he handles the media is insane. It's so refreshing to not have someone speaking riddles every time. And football Twitter, Tottenham Twitter goes crazy after a Conte interview, going, "Oh, what did he mean by this? Or did he didn't? Do you know what I mean?" It's just it's so refreshing, and I absolutely love the way that he speaks, like you say, saying, we'll be fine, we'll be all right, we'll be fine, whatever happens. I don't get me wrong. Obviously, it must be annoying him, the amount of questions he gets on Harry Kane at the moment. But look, he's brushing them away, and there's not one point so far that I've looked and gone, "Oh, you could have done better there." Literally, everything I've heard has been spot on.
Yeah, agreed. H.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree. I think the way he's handled it is very, very good. It used to annoy me when you got the Contes and the Cellinis. Kane's irreplaceable. Don't get me wrong, Kane is fantastic, and he did carry us last season, absolutely. And we were a one-man team for the majority of last season. But he isn't irreplaceable because there's lots of players out there who would sell for the same money, maybe not the same quality, but I don't think he is irreplaceable. At the end of the day, no player's bigger than Tottenham Hotspur either. Of course, we'd all love him to stay. I think we can agree on that. And he must be bored of the questions, absolutely. But the past, half a dozen managers we've had must be sick of the questions about Harry Kane. I'm certainly bored about hearing it, and I don't like the game that Bayern are playing. But I think he's handled it very, very well so far. But what I think we can all agree on is we mustn't let this drag until when the window slams shut on the 1st of September, because I hate giving credit to West Ham, but the way that they've dealt with the Rice situation is set an example. If we're going to do the same with Kane, then we have to follow that way in terms of sticking to the valuation, even if others think it's extremely high and 105 million for Rice, sticking to it. And, saying to Arsenal, you pay it, you get him. You don't pay it, you don't get him. And then getting it done early so they can spend that money on finding a replacement and strengthening areas that they need to. They haven't let it drag on, and credit to West Ham for that, because they played Arsenal. Arsenal got a top player in Rice, and I think, don't get me wrong, I think they'll be on the title charge next season. But the money West Ham have got for where they were last season, it not being funny, was a relegation battle. You give 105 million to a team fighting down the bottom, it is a lot. It is massive, and West Ham will improve, especially defensively next season, and probably a replacement for Rice. So I like the way West Ham have done it. I think we should do the same. Whatever that valuation may be, stick to it and don't let it drag on.
Yeah, as I said, we will get on to that info about Harry Kane, but that's coming towards the end. Now, I want to talk about one player's exclusion from the squad. As at the bottom of the statement, if I didn't make this up, it said that Hugo Lloris has been excluded from, or left at home from the squad, and will not travel for a pre-season tour as he's allowed to assess transfer options.
Do you want to know exactly what it says?
Yep.
Not far off. Hugo Lloris has been granted permission not to travel in order to explore prospect transfer opportunities. There you go.
Pretty much spot on.
That's not bad, that, Luke. I'll give you credit there, mate.
Exactly. Anyway, so, we will talk a little bit about Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris has been a pivotal player for Spurs over the years. I was actually surprised how bloody long he's been there, to be fair.
I know.
There have been some incredible moments. I remember penalty save, the end of a North London derby, penalty save in the Champions League against City. I think it was in the first leg against Aguero. There's been so many good moments from Lloris, and his shot-stopping ability has been incredible. But there has been a lot of mistakes from Hugo Lloris, and, it is now time for him to move on. And, people were surprised when Vicario got number 13 shirt. They were saying, well, I thought this was our new number one goalkeeper, etc., etc., etc. I don't think that, that really makes a huge difference. As you said, Harry, look at Declan Rice at number 42 shirt at Arsenal. Players like their numbers. He may end up being number one, but you never know. But I just want to kind of get you guys' thoughts. It is his time to really go at Spurs, and he isn't the same goalkeeper as he is for France, as he is for Spurs anymore. And, especially the way that Andrew will like to play goalkeepers, balls at their feet, passing out from the back. He's dreadful at that. So, everyone can say what they wish, but, I will always remember Hugo Lloris at Spurs. Don't think I'm going to call him a legend, but it's been a good time. Wynnie, what's your thoughts on Lloris?
Yeah, he's been a fantastic servant. Someone that's never. I said the only time he's probably down tools was when he'd got absolutely battered at Newcastle away. There was no way he was injured. He's just walked into that change rooms and gone, do you know what? I don't want to fucking play this anymore. I'm getting absolutely battered here. So no, a fantastic servant. It's the right time to go. It's as simple as that. We want to change the way we play. And that includes a goalkeeper that can kick a football straight. And Lloris is not that goalkeeper. We've seen it. The amount of times he absolutely shits his pants when a defender gives him the ball and he doesn't know what to do with it. So yeah, it's the right time to go. But fantastic servant, and I can't fault anything that he's done. But like you say, there's been a lot of mistakes. He's always had a mistake in his game, as does every goalkeeper. But as of late, there has been far too many creeping in. So for that reason alone, he needs to go, and I won't stand in his way. But at the same time, I won't call him a legend, but he's definitely been a very, very, very good servant of the club.
Yeah, H, is it time to go, Hugo?
It is, I'm afraid, time to go, Hugo. And I don't know what you think, but it kind of feels like the end of an era. Oh no, we had it last week. John was meant to be on the pre-season tour, enjoying the sun, but there you go. Breeze for Australia. And with Hugo, it feels like a bit of an end of an era. I'm going to use 4 words to describe Lloris, which some people may not like, especially one. Captain, fantastic captain for me anyway. Maybe not the vocal player you want, but, and also that comes under servant, leader, and I would call him a Tottenham Hotspur legend because of the loyalty to the club. He's been through the highs and the lows at Tottenham. Thank you for everything, Hugo, and just good luck for the future. It's sad that it's ended in this way. 5-1 down, I think it was at half-time, St James's Park. I'm not like Wynnie. I'm not buying that. You don't. There's a reason you walk off 5-1 at half-time. There was no injury in the game. I watched the highlights back several times, and he picked up no knock. He actually ran down the tunnel as well. So I'm not buying that. It's time to go. It was probably a long time ago. Like Ollie says, massive servant, but his time is up. And again, something you don't want to drag on out the window as soon as possible. And I'm sure he will find a club.
So I want to shout out to Donna Cullen all the way from Australia. So thank you very much, Donna. Make sure you subscribe into the channel. Jazz Jones has said, Luke, if you've got any subscribers can chat on. Again, I've absolutely no idea, mate, to be honest. But to be fair, subscribe and then you can chat. Otherwise, piss off. Hugo, as we said, he's been a good servant. I'm not going to call him a legend, but I want to thank him for his service. Right, Harry, I want you to discuss with me now the players that have been left out from the preseason tour.
Right, so players have been left out on the preseason tour. You've got Benson Core because of that knee injury. Fraser Forster's apparently got a back injury. Brian Gill's also got a back injury. Troy Parrott's got a groin injury. Ryan Sessegnon hamstring. We saw that once again. And I'd like to say with Ryan Sessegnon, the club should see him for his treatment, then offload him. I don't think this is something that's going to get better. Too many injuries. It's sad, but I just can't see Spurs' career working out. And that is all the injuries. And obviously, Lloris missing out because he's been granted permission to explore transfer opportunities. So I'm not surprised by that squad at all. But we need to start offloading players. And if they don't go, sadly, it has to come to ripping up contracts.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Harry, who do you think is going to suffer the most with not going on preseason tour?
What, in terms of injury?
No, in terms of, not getting up to speed with, tactics, with training, with gameplay, with the other players.
Yeah, well, Bentancur's going to be a big one because obviously he's a big player, and for him to get time with Ange in pre-season would have been crucial because we know he's going to be a crucial player. He's a crucial player in any manager system at Tottenham. Gil, I think will also suffer, because it's a fresh start for him. So there's lots of players that injured will miss out in terms of gaining that information from Ange and actually being there. I'm sure they'll be watching somewhere. Troy Parrott, no offence, but I don't think he is in Ange's plan. I expect to see another loan to a championship club. And Ryan Sessegnon, I don't think has a future, so I don't think he'll be missing out. But obviously, the one I would say is Bentancur, because, like I said, we know how important he is, and he will be really important under Ange. And understanding the role is crucial in pre-season. I mean, your worst nightmare, probably as a player and as manager and Ange himself, is that we get to the London derby, Bentancur's back, and you have to chuck him into a position that he's never played in pre-season or any other game this season. That is definitely a worry. Ange is a completely different way of playing, and players will take time to understand that. Although I'm not a fan of pre-season, that is why it's there, for the match fitness and the understanding with the manager is crucial. We've got a new manager coming in. I'm trying not to get too carried away if the pre-season goes well, because I was really excited after the pre-season we had under Nuno. Really excited. I thought it was really, really good signs. But we got, like I keep saying, we have got a big squad now. I think it's 32 or 33 with Solomon coming in. So we need to offload players. Can't express how important that is. Players like Ryan Sessegnon, Sanchez, who I don't think fit anywhere into Ange's plans.
Yeah, I personally don't believe we get rid of Sessegnon now he's got that injury, to be honest. I don't think anyone's taking an injured player off our hands. But I agree with you 100%. Like, that was the player I was aiming for was
keep him while he gets through injury, and then January transfer window, look to someone who, like Nottingham Forest, who are looking to stay up, he might take him. Yeah,
definitely. I think that Bentancur, this is a bold shout, but I think he should be slightly worried at the moment, with the fact that he's going to miss out with injury, because there could be a moment where other players step up, and especially with a new manager coming in, you would think that under Conte or someone like that he would probably be safe, but now that you have a new manager who probably doesn't really care who you are and what you've done, he only cares about right now and whether you're in it or not. With him missing all pre-season pretty much, I would be worried if I was him. But you never know. I will jump onto you in a second, Wynnie. Just want to get through some of these people. So, Jazz Jones, again, thank you. Forgive me if you didn't get my humour, but oh well. He's also said, or they've also said, don't get carried away with pre-season. I watched Tottenham's best pre-season goals and saw Dyer score a rocket. We also saw them lift an Audi Cup as well, so we shouldn't get too excited, because there could be another cup on the cards, if I read that correctly, against a game against Barcelona. Could get another little trophy for the cabinet there.
Why does it have to be Barcelona? Why does it have to be someone like Barcelona? Could it be in the West Ham game?
So Johnny has also said, by the way, with subscribing, are we only having 1 time a week shows, or could we double that by fall? Unfortunately, there's no way of doing shows just for subscribers, I don't believe. And
there is. I think there's a way you can do the chat just for subscribers with a subscription service, but not the actual podcast. That wouldn't be fair either.
Once we get to those levels, we may look at doing a Patreon or something like that. But to be quite honest with you, I don't want to turn this into a money-making scheme, to be quite honest. So we will see what happens with that.
The colours in the chat.
whoever has created this is an absolute legend, by the way.
I don't know if you saw it, but me and Wynnie had this all of last week out of nowhere. Honestly, it was great. Some of the comments, the humour is fantastic.
Yeah, so whoever you are, reach out on Twitter, because it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you're definitely getting a follow.
Yeah, 100%. Wynnie, what do you think about players that could miss out on pre-season?
I think any of those mentioned that are going to be staying with the squad are going to miss out. So, I mean, like we say, Ryan Sessegnon, Bentancur. Bentancur is absolute mustard. I don't think he needs to worry about his position or anything like that, because as soon as he's fit and ready. You know, he'll be showing it in training when he eventually gets back up to stage with that bit. So I think anyone that is intending to stay and that Ange wants to stay, I think will be impacted by not having a pre-season, because it's a complete change of philosophy, it's a complete change of tactics, it's a complete change of playing style. So that does take time to adapt. So I think the squad that's gone out there, it's huge, and it's promising that we've got people like Lo Celso and Ndombele who have got the opportunity to revive their Tottenham career. Because if those would have been left out to find alternative transfers, then we'd have been pretty screwed. We'd have been going out there with bloody Basuma and Højbjerg and Skip. So it's promising that we've got those along. You what? Sorry?
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it, but I feel better knowing that we've got other options. And look, people like Lo Celso, again, very, very talented. But it's down to whether he can adapt to the Premier League, etc., all of that crap that comes with it. But we've got options, and those that have been left at home, they'll need to when they get back to full fitness, they'll definitely have a lot of chasing and a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Johnny has said, no, I didn't mean a show for subscribers. I meant 2 shows a week for everyone. Well, if there's enough demand for it, like, we may look at something, but people need to subscribe first, because we've lost 2 subscribers since we started this show today. So I don't know what's happening today, but
That's what you said earlier.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't take it back either. You can all unsubscribe. I couldn't care. No, let's move on. So let's talk really quickly about Manor Solomon. Everyone's known that this deal's been done for a long time, but obviously it got announced earlier this week. Wynnie, you happy with that?
Yeah, I don't think anyone we have in the squad currently, bar maybe Brian Hill, matches up to what he gives and what he offers. Very direct, more than happy to take someone on one-on-one. He's pretty much the Lucas Moura replacement, but maybe someone who shows more promise and has more potential, because obviously Lucas reaching the end of his career. Solomon, I think is 24, something like 23, 24. Yeah, so he's someone who in a couple of years' time, might be reaching his prime. So look, I've watched a couple of YouTube clips, which is always a bad thing to do, but he looks very direct and someone who wants to beat a man. And I don't think we've had anyone specifically good like that. Like Aaron Lennon type. He's happy to skip around a defender and take them on. So I like players like that, and I think Ange will like players like that. So good signing. And again, what we discussed, I think last week or whenever it was, we talked about it before. It's free. Who cares? Like if he's absolutely cack, then we can sell him in the summer next year for even if we
do things like that. Don't say things like that. People will get on your back about loving Daniel Levy and loving money or something. Some bullshit like that.
No. It's nothing to do with that. But all I'm saying is,
I agree,
if he has an absolutely shit season and we sell him next year for £1 million, there you go. Like, do you know what I mean? It's what it is. So yeah, I'm happy with it, and I like the look of him.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And I think, do you know what? It's a free hit. It's it doesn't mean anything. Like, if it doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. Like, if he does work out, then great. The other thing that it does is, regardless of, how he performs on the pitch, it's about how he performs on the training ground. And all of these, any signing is about creating fear in players who are too comfortable in their current position.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I was, trying to talk about with Bentancur. We're saying that it's not about him being bad and not getting back in the squad. It's about him being concerned over the fact that anybody could come in and take his place, because I don't think Ange cares what your name is. He cares about how you perform and how you play in that system. And I truly believe that. And that's what we need at this football club. But Harry, do you echo everything that Wynnie said?
I do. And I think, I'm going to say it, when Daniel Levy does
what's he gonna
something
say?
good in the transfer market, with the Porro deal eventually getting it done, and with Solomon, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He gets criticism at the right times, but when he does something, oh God, here we go, another one. When he does something right, I feel that there's always people. I'm not going to mention names. Some people know who I mean, but there's certain people who I feel have a tweet in the drafts ready to twist something. I think we could sign Mickey van der Ven and Tapsoba, and it'll be, oh, it took too long. Oh, we needed a third centre back. I personally think there's some people who dedicate their time just to put a spin on everything. I don't like people like that. It has to be said, nor the other way, to be fair. Solomon, why can anyone complain about it? He's on a free, it's risk-free, and there's a player in there for sure. Young, adds squad depth, which is needed. Lucas going out that door. We haven't got to worry about spending 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 million, which Palace wanted for Zaha, by the way. We haven't got to worry about spending that kind of money, which is handy. It's handy for the business. It's handy for the football club. And if Solomon doesn't work out or doesn't fit into the system, you easily get 25, 35 million for him in the summer. Like when he says, you make a profit. Very, very clever, very important, and benefits the football club at the end of the day. So, you know, you can't complain. There's a player there. He didn't play a lot for Fulham last season, but when he did, boy, was he impressive. And shout out to Joe Lewis and Donna Colour in the comments who are making it difficult for me to finish my sentence because I'm currently looking at the chat. It is great.
Yeah, so for those that are obviously listening on any podcast platform, someone has created YouTube account for Donna Cullen and Joe Lewis, and it's making us absolutely howl here. So if you want to know what all the fun's about, make sure you watch us live. But Harry, I do actually want to pull you up a little bit, mate, very quickly.
Oh, here we go.
Because, you know, all of a sudden, Wynnie, he seems to be very calm about Tottenham Hotspur and very positive about Big Ange.
Yeah.
And slightly positive about Mr. Levy.
Oh, you said it now. You said it. I knew that was coming. I knew it.
And no, before anyone gets on my back, last week, Harry sent me some tweets. I'm not going to read them all out. None of them actually involved any of the things I've mentioned. But he did say, you can pull me up about some of these things on the show. Yeah. So here's your time to discuss it, Harry.
What I will say is I do flip-flop on a lot of things. I was the first one to call out Levy with the Porro transfer over the time it's taken. But now if you reflect on it, it took too long. But it was a very, very clever sign. So there's lots of things that I flip-flopped about. And betting will not be for me, put it that way, in that time. So I changed my mind. Yeah, right now, do I feel confident about the season? Yes. Will I feel confident when the season starts? Probably not. That's what usually happens. I sat here and went under Conte, we could be title contenders. And I think up until the World Cup, there was a possibility of that. Because it's really just Tottenham and Arsenal in the race. They were leading the way. So I think there was evidence of that. So I can kind of understand where some of my things come from. But comments are great. But I do definitely flip-flop on some of the things. I can't remember some of the things I said to you, but there's lots of things I do change. But with Ange, one thing I will say is I've always said, regardless of what I think of the appointment, I will back him regardless. And at the time, I was against the appointment, but I called out the hashtag saying no to Ange because those people do not care about the football club and can't be bothered to do their research. I people with the hashtag, the ones behind the pictures of the players in the profile, they should be ashamed whether it works out or not. Yeah,
100%. Just a quick question. A few short fire answers, Harry, for you, just so I can clarify where we're at. Where are you with Levy and Enoch, just so that we're all aware?
Right. Listen, how do I word this? Right, we're in a time where, we're in an important transfer window, an important summer, where decisions have to be made. I'm impressed by what they've done in the transfer window. However, I'm disappointed they have not got a centre-back. And be like a politician and not answer this question. Obviously, time is probably running out for Levy. I think some of the criticism he get isn't fair. I think he's almost like kind of scapegoated, and part of it is his fault. Ange has to work out for him. He's got so many last-minute chances. 3 months ago, we're in a terrible place, and there's signs of positivity. So we'll see how this season goes. And he needs to give Ange time. If he does, he's got a lot right recently, but he continues to make poor decisions around the increase in match ticket prices and not signing a centre back before we go on pre-season talks. One thing I will say is he doesn't help himself. I don't. I stand in a point where changes need to happen on the football side of things, but business decisions remain very, very strong and stable. And I'm very happy with the way the business side is going. And I think that we're in for a potentially good season. If Levy gets it right, and when I say gets it right, gives him time, gives him what he needs, lets him get on with the job. There's no like with Conte, where I think it was his brother-in-law, stepbrother, something like that, on the bench, keeping an eye on him. None of that. Very, very professional. So I'm looking forward to next year. I can say I'm looking forward to next season. Predictions keep changing left, right, and centre. If you want a prediction for me, I can give it now, and we can come back to it and be wrong for another year.
Do you know what? We'll hold off that until kind of the week before the season starts. Okay. But anyway, H, I won't jump on you anymore. I was just having a bit.
I don't mind.
We're getting towards the end of the show. We'll probably start talking about Harry Kane, I think, because I don't know how. Do you know what? I've had this show for a long time, people, and only became a Spurs show at the start of last season. But there's been a lot of talk over the years of Harry Kane, when he will leave Spurs, etc. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of tweets that happened this week. So Romano said Harry Kane's very clearly signalled that his decision was made. If he keeps his word, we will sign him. Tottenham will have to give up. We've got to get an asking price from Levy. And then there's another one from Transfer News Live, make of it what you will, where it says Tottenham won 116 million euros for Harry Kane. The situation is clear for Daniel Levy. Either Kane extends contract or he will be sold this summer. I want to quickly talk about that second tweet. 116 million euros. Roughly, forgive me, I don't know the bloody conversion rates. Roughly, let's just say, for argument's sake, it's about 105 million pounds, roughly. Very simple answer from both of you right now before we get into the nitty-gritty. I need a yes or a no, Harry. Very simple. 105 million pounds. Do you sell Harry Kane?
You asking me first?
Yeah.
With add-ons to 110.
No, I'm talking.
Listen. No, we'll get to no way. With add-ons to potentially 110 or 115 million, yes, I would cash in. And what I will say, the last thing, we do not need a replacement for Kane. I'm well happy with Richarlison. Spend the money on positions we need. This is something I feel very, very passionate about. Take 100 million for Kane and invest it where needed in the defence. Get Van der Ven, get Tapsoba, get Adebayo, buy as many defenders as you can, get players out the door, and because I think that will improve the club. So yes, and the front three of Richarlison, Son, and Kulusevski is still up there with the very best.
Wynnie, yes or no? Do you take 105 million pounds for Harry Kane?
Wow.
Oh my lord! Talk to me about it.
No, I don't. I look. I've said this before. We can do the business that we want to do without selling him. It's as simple as that. We don't need to sell him to fund the centre backs that we want to improve our team with. Losing Harry Kane. It's simple. We may change now that we've got Maddison, but goals tend to come from Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. And obviously, if Son has a poor season like he did, then the goals, we rely on Harry Kane. Harry Kane
can't let him leave on a free, though. The only reason I'm saying it is not because I don't think we can afford it. I just don't want to let him go on a free. And
it's not your money. It's not my money. It's not your money. Who cares?
No, but it will affect the club and fans at some point, whether it's the increase in season ticket prices next season or the lack of investment or recruitment in the transfer window. It comes to
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to sell him to fund our transfer business this season that we need. I really don't, because we're looking at Van der Ven and Tapsoba now. It's obviously gone a bit dry at the moment for whatever reason, but negotiations take time. Whether you want to put that on Levy's head or not, negotiations take time. And there's talks, very, very vague talks, but there's talks that we might still go for both if the price is right. So if we then get both of those in, what other business do we need to do?
Get loads of players out the door.
Yeah, get players out the door, but that doesn't cost money. That brings in money. So
I know.
I just don't think we need to do. We need
I
to
just
sell
losing
Kane to do
losing
business.
100 million to a club that's got stadium debt, just had a new stadium after log of COVID and during a major cost of living crisis.
Yeah,
Will not
yeah,
only
of
hurt the club on a football side, on a business side, it will hurt the owners, it will hurt us fans because it gets passed down. It would just be a long-on effect that will. I think 100 million is quite a bit,
Yeah,
and I
it
think
will
we'll see
help.
a season again with no signings.
Of course, it would help. But do we need to do it? No, I don't think we do. We have a choice to do it, and that choice is down to Daniel Levy. I don't think we need to do it.
If I'm
That's
Daniel
what I'm saying.
Levy, I think the safe option, and I will applaud Daniel Levy for, is cashing in on Kane and playing it safe.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I want to jump in on this quickly. Actually, shout out to Terry in the comments. I'm not sure what you mean by there is once a beloved football club, but anyway, I'm not even going to read it out because I can't be asked. But make sure you subscribe, Terry. Anyway, I want to talk about Harry Kane really quickly because there's two parts to this, right? I want to talk about both parts. So the first one is yes, 100%. I take 105 million pounds tomorrow and I sell Harry Kane.
That's fine.
But I don't do it and then I look for a replacement. The biggest problem West Ham have right now is every club in the entire universe know that they have 100 million pounds to spend and prices go up. It's as simple as that. Very simple when it comes to Newcastle. People know they have shed loads of money. The negotiations, they can hold anybody, any club can hold Newcastle to ransom, in my opinion. And if they want the player, they'll pay the money. It's the same. If Spurs have 100 million pounds and they go for Vlahovic, for example, then the price goes up for Vlahovic. It's as simple as that. If Spurs negotiate now for the player that they want, it will be obvious what's going to happen, but Spurs don't have the physical money right now, so therefore the price isn't going to be higher. I think it's as simple as that. I still believe there is a very small percentage, I want to say 10%, that Spurs can offer Harry Kane £350,000 a week and he stays at Spurs.
I don't think it's as small as that.
Yeah, there is a chance that could happen, but I think the season has to go well. Yeah, I read about Vlahovic going to PSG today, but again, I think that depends on their Mbappe situation, to be quite honest, because he's going to cost £80 million.
Is Mbappe going to go anywhere for 250 million, which they're currently price tagging him out?
No, but what they're talking about is buying somebody in, knowing that he's going to go on a free transfer next summer. But anyway,
if I'm PSG again, I cash in on Mbappe. That's 250 million to lose.
Yeah, but they don't care, do they? They're owned by.
They won't care now. Yeah. In 20 years' time, when they're paying for that, they will. But what, Luke? Just jumping in on that with Newcastle, I disagree because believe it or not, Newcastle on a tight budget this season. They might
have a tight budget, but how much did they pay for Tonioli?
Okay, so we see come to the end of the window, they've just got their business done early. Arsenal will spend more than they already have.
They bought one player.
Who?
They may have a budget.
Newcastle. I know, but what I'm saying, they're not going to go out and spend massive. They're going to do it over a period of time because
£70 million on Tonioli.
Yeah, I know that's on one player. They're not going to go out and spend 400 million on 11 players, Luke. They buy 2 or 3 and spend maximum 150. Yeah, they spend a lot of money on Tonali, but I promise you, no other business is done. If Harvey Barnes comes in, then Sam Maximin will go the other way. There's nothing else happening at Newcastle, and they're not contenders for top 4 for me next season. They're falling away. Eddie Howe's getting sacked. But Newcastle, in terms of that, what I will say is they're doing it the clever way. They're not doing it the Chelsea way, everything at once, or even the Forest way under Steve Cooper when they got promoted, or Fulham in the first time. So they've looked at other clubs like that who've learnt their lessons.
My point is
Newcastle will not be a force next season. Villa will be a force. Newcastle will not.
My point is that Tonioli's price was escalated based on the fact that Newcastle can afford to pay what it is.
I understand what you're saying. That's okay. Question for you, Luke.
Just wait 1 minute. Just wait 1 minute. Let me just finish. So it's not about them spending £400 million. It's very simple. It's about the fact that players' prices are inflated based on how much money they have available to them. Their budget may only be £80 million. That's a business deal, and I respect that from Newcastle. To be fair, they're trying. The Saudis are very, very sly in this, and they're trying to do it a way in which doesn't cause too much of a stir. But I understand. I do understand what you're saying. My point is, though, is that as soon as you have money, players' prices are inflated. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. No, you're right. But why do we need a replacement for Kane? I can't see it. It's an absolute waste of money.
Thing I've ever seen. My other counterpart to that, sorry, is that for anyone, probably your age or less, look at the price of Prime. When people couldn't get it, the price went up. When something is in demand.
No, and I completely agree with you. But surely you don't bring the player in before you get rid of Kane. Because if you keep hold of Kane, then there'll be that competition, Vlasic and Kane over 13 minutes, high wage. And if the club finish outside of Europe, then we'll be in trouble financially. So you've got to get rid of, you've got to, get the money in for the player first. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here crying if Richarlison's the number 9. I've said, I think he easily scores you 10, 15 goals a season. Some will be on it next season. Kulusevski has got a player in there. And the creativity of Maddison, Benson, Korobasuma, that is enough. We do not need Kane. Obviously, ideal world, Kane stays. But I'd rather spend the money on improving the defence or put it away and not have to increase the season ticket prices next season. I'm thinking down the line. We do not need a replacement for Kane because you do not spend 60 million on a striker to sit on your bench and score 1 goal a season. End of.
Wynnie, give me an overview on.
He knows he's wrong. When he goes quiet, he moves on, ignores the conversation.
Wynnie,
he's accepted defeat.
Give me an overview on what you've just heard.
I agree with H in the sense that. Only in the sense that I think there was a clear indication when we bought Richarlison that eventually he will take the front spot. But I don't think that it's selling Kane and replacing him this season. I think if we want to do that under Ange, I think we would need to bring Vlahovic, someone like that, if we can replace him. But like I say, for me, we don't take it. But what we do, I don't know, and whether that even comes into. But I totally agree. Prices always are inflated, and it's typically what happens is you sell a player for so much money, and then all of a sudden you're having to fork out double what you was going to pay just because they know you've got money. That is common sense. I totally agree with that. But if we was to sell Harry Kane, I would replace him. But again, other than Vlahovic, I don't really see anyone that suits and that would do a significant job. So where we go, I don't know, but hopefully we don't do the.
Here's the question for your quick answer, guys. I just want like a number. Sorry. So if we sold Harry Kane and we didn't replace him with Richarlison, Wynnie, how many goals does Richarlison score?
If we don't replace him with Richarlison?
Yeah. No, if we don't replace him and Richarlison plays.
Okay. I would go 15 max.
Wow. Harry?
17 or 18, and he's up there. We'll still be up there with one of the best. I think Richarlison's one of the best strikers still in the league. Behind Kane, behind Haaland, behind maybe someone like Ivan Toney. I think so. I think he's better than Jesus. We had that whole conversation. Jesus failed to impress with first team football, and Richarlison's done as much as him off the bench with less minutes and less games, by the way. Arsenal fans do not like to hear it, but it was we've got the best striker in the world, but I'm having none of that. So Richarlison would be fantastic. I do not think we need a replacement. Okay, I'm going to put it out here. I respect a lot of people's opinions, but I don't want to say I can't stand people who think we need a replacement. I don't get that at all. I don't think there's any common sense or reasoning behind it. When you've got a 60 million striker on the bench, you're not in Europe, so you can't be dashing money for the sake of it. And you've got stadium debt, backlog of COVID, and defence needs improving. I cannot see it. Yeah, only scored once this season. It's hilarious, Johnny.
Let me just throw that out to you, H, though. So we replace Harry Kane with Richarlison. What happens if Richarlison it goes off form or gets injured?
What happens? Well, then you've got Dane Scarlett. You've got Troy Parrott. Put some trust in the youth.
You can't
play there.
No. You can't throw Dane Scarlett. Let's say Richarlison gets injured for 10
Maddison.
games. You can't throw
Give it to
Dane
Maddison.
Scarlett.
Play as a false 9. Be creative. That's where new things are found. City managed to a whole season without a number 9. They done all right. So
Yeah,
why we
but
worrying
they had a lot of other talent amongst the.
We can
whoever
get
the
that
players
talent if we don't sign a replacement. I tell you. Disagree.
Harry's
He's
starting to
Brazil's
sound
best-
like give it
he's
to
Brazil's
Giggsy
best
for the
player.
season.
And he's one of the best in the Premier League. He's 6 million price tag. He's worth it. He puts in the effort. Next season, we'll see the goals. Okay, let's change it. He's going to score 18, 19 goals. He's been a outside contender for the Golden Boot. He's going to finish second. There you go.
Look, I share your optimism on Richarlison, and I like him.
I'm clipping this. I'm coming back to this. When Richarlison has a fantastic season in the run-in to be Spurs' player of the season, and Luke goes, "Well, I did tell you he was a good signing." I'm not having that.
If you want my answer, he scores 7 maximum. I still don't think, Wynnie, even if he scored between 12 and 15, that's not enough.
No, that's what I was going to lead on to. Is that's half of, even if he got 15, that's half of what we've got through H. So already we're 50% down on our goals. And it's a fact he doesn't score more than 15. Look at his record when he was leading the line for Everton. Do you know what I mean? What's the most he scored in the season?
When he's in a relegation battle, he's the only reason they're still in the Premier League. Come on. I mean,
has he scored more than 15 in a season?
I don't think so.
I don't think he has.
We'll come back to that, shall we, next season when he scores more than 15. But 15's enough. He scores 12, that's enough. Because we have Maddison in the team. Basuma will be a lot better. Son will improve. Trust me, Son's going to be a contender for the Golden Boot. We'll be absolutely fine. It's the defence that we need to worry about. We're scoring goals.
Let me just say to you, let me tell you now, if and again, you can clip it if you want to clip it. So let's put a hypothetical scenario in there that we sell Harry Kane and we replace it with Richarlison, Son, and Kulusevski. Collectively, they do not reach the goals that H scored for us this season. That's a fact. They don't. Collectively, they do not score 30 goals or whatever it was H got. Was it 30?
If you add James Maddison in that and the creativity of Bentancur and Basuma...
I'm not talking about James Maddison. I'm talking about our front three or whatever system.
Our front three will still be up there, one of the best in Europe, with or without Kane. Son is a Golden Boot winner. Kulusevski is a generational talent who is young and an excellent signing. I think will be one of the world's best. And we'd be, I'm sure, 3-4 years' time, there'll be 150 million price tag on Kulusevski, where everyone wants him. And he's not got long left in his contract. Be the same situation. I think you've got a real player there. So I'm not worried about that. Players coming through as well. Got Solomon. There's loads. You can play as a false 9. That is the least of my worries. The worry is the defence. We do not need a replacement. He'll score more than 8. We come back to this. I don't know why people are so dismissive of Richarlison after one season under a manager who wouldn't change his ways if he'd fallen off a cliff. He wouldn't change it. It's still believe in the miracle. Richarlison's injured for the majority of last season. Let's come back to it at the end of the season. This is something that I think I've got spot on, I'm afraid.
No, do you know what? And that's what's fascinating about this team we have here. But we're going to just wrap up the show. But one thing I really wanted to quickly talk about was, something really important that happened this week was the interview with Dele Alli that happened with Gary Neville. And I don't really want to go too much into it, to be quite honest. But I just, this will never ever get to him. But I think it's important that we talk about it anyway. But I just want to say that everybody in the Spurs community, is rooting for you and wants you to get better and, wants you to become half the player that you were at one time, and really hope that, you find what it is that you need to get a little bit better. I may not have done that much justice, but anybody else want to say anything on that?
If you don't mind. Yeah, go on, Wynnie.
No, I was going to say spot on. Yeah. Nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes with anyone. And now, if I'm honest, all it does for me is it kind of just puts 2 and 2 together, because there was a massive drop off with him, and now we understand why. So he's done what he's done. He's so fucking brave, and it's something that I would encourage anyone to do if they are in that kind of situation, and just try and speak out.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. What I will say about it was a very hard but important watch. And I think sometimes people forget that footballers are human beings at the end of the day. It took real guts, courage, and bravery for Dele to do what he's done. And I'm sure he's saved millions of lives, has inspired so many. Also, credit to Gary Neville, who I give a lot of criticism, by the way, and a lot of stick, the way he handled it. It's clear the trust Dele had in him was amazing. I think he handled that excellently. He's definitely a fantastic listener. I hope this is like a learning experience for lots of people, not to judge people or not to be rude because you don't know what's happening in someone's life. You don't know what's happening in the inside just because someone's smiling on the outside. So hopefully people, understand that. But you've got people on public radio at the time, like Simon Georgian, sitting there for 4.5 minutes, slagging Dele off. He said, this is what he says, he's a waste of our time, waste of my time, he's a waste of TV time. Yeah, TalkSport, get rid of that. There's no apology from him. Why is he still on public radio after his reply to Twitter, which was deleted because he didn't get the response he thought he did? So Dele, what Dele's done is inspirational, and it's fantastic. And I believe that he will make a comeback. And there's definitely a player in there. He's been through a lot, and he's inspired many.
Yeah, well said, H. The one thing that I will say to kind of finish this off before everyone leaves is, this is a massive reminder to everybody that exists on social media that, you'd never know what the person on the other side of the screen is going through. And until you know exactly what has happened to that person, what that person is going through, whether they are smiling, whether they are laughing, whether they are joking online, be understanding of each other and look out for each other. Because at the end of the day, especially the Spurs community, we all support Spurs. Whether you have opinions that differ from one person to another, that shouldn't matter, and there should be absolutely no reason for anybody to get on anybody's back.
And if we're all kind to each other, the world will be a much better place, I can assure you.
Exactly. And whether you like us on this podcast or don't like us, I've always said this. I don't care less. But I mean, in terms of being respectful to each other, that's the most important thing. And at the end of the day, we all support Spurs, so that's a good place to kind of wrap up. I do want to thank you all for watching. Again, it's been a massive turnout in the comments. I've appreciated all the laughs, the jokes, everything that comes in, whether it's Stick for Me, Harry, Wynnie, whatever it is. Just keep the chat flowing every week because, we absolutely love it regardless of that. And shout out to everybody in the chat as well. Wynnie, before we finish up, how can everybody find you?
Wynnie1991 on Twitter, or of course on Park Lane Pod every Sunday at 7 p.m. What I will say is I don't get a lot of stick in the comments, so either I'm fucking boring or I say things that people like. So I don't know which one to take from that.
Let's go with both.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
Hey, how can everyone find you?
Oh, sorry, Wynnie. Thank you very much. You can find me here every Sunday, 7 p.m. Partly podcast, who occasionally I get trusted to host. And the numbers seem very good for last week, so it must be saying something, Luke. People must enjoy what I'm doing. Perhaps I'm coming for your job, but no, thank you for having me on once again. So you can find me there, Harry Scarf 22. Not really bothered, if I'm honest with you. What does matter to me though is you go check out my channel, Scarfy Spurs Talk, because I have live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. Not this Monday, but the next Monday the 24th, which is probably going to be the biggest show we've done as a channel. I'll be joined by Holly Agrambar, Crackers, and Marlon for what is be a very, very interesting show. Crackers will be on for the second time, so make sure to tune in to that. Also, subscribe to the podcast here because win, lose, or draw. Every single week, we are here covering everything. Scoffy comes out with Kulu will be 100%. Yeah, I seriously think Kulusevski will be. Don't want to see the next Mbappe, but I think he's off that level. I seriously think Kulusevski's up there. I love what I see in him, and I think that a big price tag will come with it.
I'm gonna be more controversial next week.
Word for everyone, don't be like Harry. No,
and we're winning a trophy next season. I'll reveal which one, but we're winning a trophy next season.
Perfect. Thanks, Harry. You know what? Again, thanks to everyone that's joined us this week. If you want to follow me, it's Luke_Parklane on Twitter. But more importantly, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button as well. If you've never seen this show before and you liked it, hit comment in the comment section after the show. If you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you're clicking the follow button, leaving a 5-star review. Every single one of those subscribers, comments, likes, and follows on any platform, we really, really do appreciate it. So whatever you do, make sure you do that. Share the podcast around with your friends. If you don't like it, but you like coming on and taking the piss, perfect. Do that as well. But make sure you subscribe as well. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in this week. And next week, we'll be talking about our first pre-season games and how we got on in the first 2 games of that, as there's a game on Tuesday and also a game on Saturday.
I'll get so much stick if we lose Tuesday. I'm in the school full of West Ham fans, from deputy head to head teacher, to the point where I had to wear West Ham top last season when they won the Conference League. I was so confident they wouldn't win it. So, yeah, that's pre-season. Please do not lose that, Spurs.
Exactly. But thanks to you all again. Big shout out to you all. Give me a follow on Twitter and I'll happily follow you all back. And make sure you message me and tell me where you've come from. But that pretty much sums us up. So as we do on every show before we end, we always say, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.